That might be overreacting a bit, mightn't it? I mean, I guess an alternative. I think an alternative, although it could be risky. I was going to say an alternative would be if there's a queue there after you realise you've got too much, you could go to perhaps another, depending on the shop. But if it's a supermarket or something, you could go to another member of staff and say, "Look, I've been given too much. She's got a queue over there, or he's got a queue over there. Here, can you give that back?" So you might go away thinking, "Will she actually give it back?" Um, you know what I mean? We might doubt, and so or they
Well,
could
yeah,
forget. They could say, "Oh, it's so busy," and so on. But no, I mean, your answer is probably what I like to think most people would say. I'm not sure most people would say that, but it's probably a hard one. Maybe it depends on the amount. If if you walk out and you find you've got 10 pence too much, 10p, and there's a big queue, you might say, "Oh, well, I'll put it in a charity box or something." No,
yeah.
that's a good answer. But that is. And I remember a circumstance where that happened to me. Probably happened to me two or three times that I can remember, and one was quite a few years ago, where I was in a Woolworth and I bought some batteries. I don't know much else about that transaction, but whatever they cost me, it was probably, I don't know, £4 or £5. And literally, when I came away, I thought, yeah, she's given me like £2 too much, and so I did go straight back. This is not a virtue signalling thing. I'm not saying this. Aren't I a great bloke? I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying something that did happen. And it was her response that was interesting. I went back and said, "Oh, no problem, but you gave me £2 too much," and I gave it to her, and she looked at me. Pleasant woman she was. She looked at me a little bit like that emoji where the mouth is open and shocked. But she said to me, "Thank you so much." She said, "No one has ever done that before." And I said,
Oh,
"Oh well, And so it's sort of. I'm not sure I would believe that. I think because perhaps it doesn't happen that often, does it, to people? Anyway,
no.
that was an experience I had, and yeah, I think it makes you feel quite good. If it's the other way round, you've been given short change, we'll all go back for that. Everybody would. And it's good to think that perhaps a majority would do that if they got too much. Okay, different type of what if here. So you're a manager of a football team, Cuz, right? Let's say let's say a pretty rubbishy team like Manchester United. No, I jest. I shouldn't say that, should I? But you're the manager of a football team in the
Right,
Championship, right? The
right.
division below the Premier League. And the coming Saturday, your team is in the playoff final, and the winner will go up to the Premier League, which involves getting millions of pounds for your team just by being there. There's television money. You'll be on Match of the Day every week. And obviously, there's a much higher profile for you and your players. And of course, if you get promotion, if you win this game, you as the manager will get quite a handsome bonus as well. So obviously, you're the manager of the team. You're all preparing it during the week, plenty of training, and you give the instruction to the players late in the week. Look, I want you in bed early the last few nights. No late staying out or anything like that. Don't go and gorge yourself on food or whatever. We really want to win this. Anyway, on it comes across on some social media early on Saturday morning, the day of the match, that three of your star players were actually seen out in a nightclub drinking, not necessarily getting drunk, but they were seen to leave about 1 or 1:30 in the morning, and they were a little bit worse for wear. They'd had a great time, and so on. Now, this came out on social media on Saturday morning. So now, Cuz, as the manager of the team, you're faced with a difficult decision because if you say that, if you say that I'm going to punish them, those three guys, they must abide by the rules. All the other players have. They've been found out, and what am I going to do? Basically, the fact is, if they don't play, there's a very good chance your team won't win because you're playing a tough opponent like Crystal Palace, something like that. And so you think, do I play these players or not? I will get a big bonus if we go up. I think if we play with our star guys, we're likely to win this game at Wembley. If I drop them, ethically, perhaps I should. I will lose out on a bonus. My team probably will lose the match, and we're stuck in the Championship, the one below the Premier League, for another season at least. So, over to you, Cuz. You're the manager. What are you going to do when the players all come in late morning? They have a lunch together to make sure they have the right food, and you're going to then talk to them all. And what are you going to do? You're going to drop them, or are you going to play them?
Well, first of all, I love your analogy of Manchester United and Crystal Palace.
Well, we know who'd win, Cuz, don't we? We know who'd win.
Love it. It's like you're thinking Manchester United. And who's the opposing team? Crystal Palace. Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
I was at Crystal Palace last night in the FA Cup game against Millwall, which was good. 1-1 draw, and we won on penalties. So well done, Palace, for that. So yeah,
Yes.
Palace would win the game. But let's stick to the reality of this. What are you going to do with those three players?
Well, if I was the manager,
Yeah,
I would stick to principles. I would stick to principles.
you would.
Yeah, because what if I play them and we lose?
Yeah,
So principles will come first for me. I would say this is my principle, right? I told you, lay down the rules. This is what you're supposed to abide by it. And so I am not. I'm dropping you from the game today. I'd go by principles, because then if I lose, then my principle wins. But if I dump my principles, right, and if I shelve my principles and play them or field them, and I still lose, it's a double shame for me, the manager.
So,
Yeah,
so let me get it clear. You're saying you would play them.
I would
Is
not
that what
play
you
them.
said? You would,
Absolutely,
right? You would not
I
play
would
them.
not
You
play
stick
them.
to your
Yeah,
principles.
principles. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. What if the rest of the team? Because obviously you need to discuss this in the dressing room before the match or
yeah.
over the lunch to let
Yeah.
the rest of the team know. What would you say if the team said, "Look,